Exodus chapter 14. Hi, I'm Lydia, and I'm currently reading the entire Bible, chapter by chapter, day by day, until I get to the end of it. I started in James, and now I'm in Exodus, so I'm good for it. I'm reliable. Feel free to join me here, there, or anywhere, and let's get right into it. Exodus chapter 14. I have this bookmark, and I perpetually forget to use it, but one day I will use it, and it will just be a flick of the wrist. Not today, though. Anyway, Exodus chapter 14. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites to turn back and encamp near Pi-hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea. They are to encamp by the sea, directly opposite Baal-zephon. Pharaoh will think, the Israelites are wandering around the land in confusion, hemmed in by the desert. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will pursue them. But I will gain glory for myself through Pharaoh and all his army, and the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord." So the Israelites did this. When the king of Egypt was told that the people had fled, Pharaoh and his officials changed their minds about them, and said, "What have we done? We have let the Israelites go and have lost their services." So he had his chariot made ready and took his army with him. He took 600 of the best chariots, along with all the other chariots of Egypt, with officers over all of them. The Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, so that he pursued the Israelites, who were marching out boldly. The Egyptians, all Pharaoh's horses and chariots, horsemen and troops, pursued the Israelites and overtook them as they camped by the sea near Pi-hahiroth, opposite Baal-zephon. As Pharaoh approached, the Israelites looked up, and there were the Egyptians marching after them. They were terrified and cried out to the Lord. They said to Moses, "Was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us out to the desert to die? What have you done to us by bringing us out of Egypt? Didn't we say to you in Egypt, 'Leave us alone, let us serve the Egyptians'? It would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the desert." Pardon? What? Like, if I were Moses, we're about to tussle. Anyway, Moses answered the people, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on. Raise your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea to divide the water, so that the Israelites can go through the sea on dry ground. I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, so that they will go in after them. And I will gain glory through Pharaoh and all his army, through his chariots and his horsemen. The Egyptians will know that I am the Lord when I gain glory through Pharaoh, his chariots, and his horsemen." Then the angel of God, who had been travelling in front of Israel's army, withdrew and went behind them. The pillar of cloud also moved from in front and stood behind them. Coming between the armies of Egypt and Israel. Throughout the night, the cloud brought darkness to the one side, and light to the other side. So neither went near the other all night long. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all that night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned it into dry land. The waters were divided, and the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground, with a wall of water on their right and on their left. The Egyptians pursued them, and all Pharaoh's horses and chariots and horsemen followed them into the sea. During the last watch of the night, the Lord looked down from the pillar of fire and cloud at the Egyptian army and threw it into confusion. He made the wheels of their chariots come off, so that they had difficulty driving. Sorry, I'm so tired. And the Egyptians said, "Let's get away from the Israelites. The Lord is fighting for them against Egypt." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand over the sea, so that the waters may flow back over the Egyptians and their chariots and horsemen." Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and at daybreak the sea went back to its place. The Egyptians were fleeing toward it, and the Lord swept them into the sea. The water flowed back and covered the chariots and horsemen, the entire army of Pharaoh that had followed the Israelites into the sea. Not one of them survived. But the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground, with a wall of water on their right and on their left. That day the Lord saved Israel from the hands of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians lying dead on the shore. And when the Israelites saw the great power the Lord displayed against the Egyptians, the people feared the Lord and put their trust in him, and in Moses, his servant. Wow. Thank you so much for joining me today and for reading the Bible with me and for putting up with my slow brain. I woke up 45 minutes ago, but I had an interview immediately, and I just haven't. My brain is just not ticking at full force, but it's okay. It's all right. Did my best. Not every day is gonna be a great reading day. Regardless, though, thank you, and God bless you abundantly today and tomorrow. In case I do not post tomorrow, but I do plan on doing so. So bear with. God willing, I'll be there. Aside from that, if you want to see these videos in an order that is easy to navigate, then on my TikTok, if you are watching on my TikTok, feel free to click the link in my bio. It takes you to my YouTube channel, and there you can see itemized lists in French, Spanish, and English of me reading all the books, and then also each book of the Bible has its own list in each language. So, you know, I've been plowing away. I will say, little muse. Oh, this is a bit late. I might superimpose this and put it right back in the middle of the video. But I love The Prince of Egypt. Top 3 movies ever watched, I believe. Top movie animated, and that's over Spider-Verse, and that's just because, like, this was beyond its time. And yeah, so is Spider-Verse, but this was beyond its time, and I watched it on VHS as a 2003 baby. Like, VHS was very much, the coffin was about to be shut and locked, and this movie, like, DreamWorks was cooking up a feast in, what was it, 1998? So they would have started in like 1995. This is a precursor to my life, right? Like I was nowhere even in anyone's thoughts at that time. And yet DreamWorks was they just decided, let's get the baddest actors. Like, let's get the best actors, the best screenwriters, the best animators, I believe it's either Hans Zimmer or John Williams. No, because Williams is the British comedian, who wrote the OST for Prince of Egypt. I want to say it's Zimmer. Yeah, Hans Zimmer. Inception, man. Like, hello. This guy is so sick. I want to meet him. I know someone who played in an orchestra with him. Sorry, this is actually completely off-piste. This is all to say that this scene specifically, the one where Moses, with the power of God, put his stuff down, opened the water, the Israelites traversed it, right? That took 2 years to animate. Like, passion used to be a thing, and it used to guide craft. And it's a beautiful, like, even the music playing over the back, like, it's so beautiful. Genuinely, unbelievably stunning. Like, I can't even fathom how. Imagine working on that for 730 days straight. You know, like, you take Christmas off, a cheeky New Year's, and you're just going. Like, you're an animator on this project, and you are just plowing away on paper, on pen and paper. Different time, and I love it dearly, and I look back fondly despite not having been alive at that time. Anyway, sorry, that was my little geek out because I am a classical music player, and like this soundtrack is top tier. Like ooh, deliver us. When you believe, no skips. Sometimes I'll be going on my little walks, my little daily walks, especially after surgery. I'll be going on my little walks, and I'm like, let me go back. Let me go back to ancient Egypt. And this is the soundtrack I put on. Like, timeless. Sorry. Goodbye.